Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I present to you, in front of your faces, very, very bad price action, okay? So this is horrible price action. But wait, no. With ICT, you read this like a book, alright? Alright, sorry, that's probably a cringy intro. Okay, so what is going on, guys? Today I will be kind of reviewing what happened. It was, in hindsight, it's a very easy day. It's a very, very easy day. And there's a lot of people on Twitter like, oh, price action is horrible, blah, blah, blah. I did not catch these moves, okay? I only caught like I caught the small long right here, okay? Other than that, I didn't catch anything else because I was either not looking at the screen or I just didn't get filled in an entry. So today, it was, if we look at the 1 hour, okay? So we got to realize in the 1 hour, we obviously hit buy side yesterday, okay? You don't want a long after hitting buy side, except today, even if you go to like the 2 hour, 3 hour, we're in the midst of this fair value gap, okay? And it's like a fair value gap in every time frame. So we were bound to bounce at least somewhere in here. And you can see it's a fair value gap there. 2 hour fair value gap there. 1 hour fair value gap here. So we just barely tapped into this 1 hour fair value gap. It was more like a institutional order flow entry drill. So we barely tapped into this fair value gap. Okay, so what you see here is just a clear bounce. You can see we have sell side liquidity here, and this is kind of an inducement setup. I would like this is kind of a setup where we already hit buy side liquidity yesterday, so I would definitely be very cautious of holding until here. I think 409, this is like a 30-point move anyways. I think that's obviously enough to satisfy whatever your targets are for the week. And you can see like we stopped right at this order block, so like, that would have been a nice target to target. Even like right here, this would have been another nice target. So maybe partials here. Honestly, that would be enough for me rather than targeting way up here. But anyways, you can see we have sell side liquidity right in this fair value gap. So we bounce to this fair value gap, we make sell side liquidity, and that's still not done yet because if we draw discount to premium, okay, we never even hit discount. So discount's way under this. Let me just quickly take this off and draw this. So discount is, we never hit discount. Actually, we did. Excuse me. So we did hit discount barely, but obviously we never repriced into like the 0.62 to 0.7. 0.705, 0.79 range, which we don't have to sometimes, but in this situation it would have made sense. Why? Because if you look at this fair value gap, we kind of got a shift in order flow, and then we got a 1 hour fair value gap. And the reason why I say we got a shift in order flow is because see this red candle before this up move. This tells me that when we break below it, it's kind of an order block at the time. We break below it, that's what I would consider the shift in order flow to be. So we get the fair value gap, we got this order block supporting it, this bearish order block supporting it. So you got your shift in order flow, and then boom, what happens? We come down, institutional order flow entry drill right in this fair value gap. I honestly wanted this 0.705. That's what I was looking for along in Discord this morning. But again, this is my point of interest. Okay, and as soon as we bounce off there, that's when just the whole world opens up, especially in the 1 minute. You can see the 1 minute. We had buy side liquidity this morning. Okay, so we have this retail resistance. Retail is going to see this as resistance. Why? It's because it's a smooth spot in the market. We got a high here and a high there. They're not super perfect equal, but they're relatively equal. And you also got the 8:30 open. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was right here. So you got the 8:30 open. You got buy side liquidity. So just perfect opportunity short as soon as you go up above this. But again, this was the long target. So like this morning, you want to look for long. So you can see we take these equal lows. What happens when we take these equal lows? You take sell side liquidity. You don't really get a clean market structure shift here, and you have this 1 minute fair value gap here, and you can see we rejected right off of it from the news. I think there's data that came out. But look, knowing that we had retail resistance up there, the market wanted to go there. We had the fair value gap here. This is your entry. This is where ICT entered. Pretty textbook stuff. And then on my live stream, I saw I missed this, but I pointed out my live. I'm like, okay, this is a good fair value gap. I ended up chasing a little bit. I never really called it out because I chased it. So what happened on my live stream was it was not a fair value gap in MES, so it kind of messed me up a little bit. So that's why I ended up chasing. But I pointed out, I said this is a good fair value gap to hit this target up here. And then boom, what happens after we go above 830? And after we go above buy side liquidity, we just dump. And you can clearly see we made a fair value gap here. It's right around the point. It was around the point 705. It ended up being changed, but it was in this fair value gap. And also, if you look at US 100 at the same time, okay, it was also a fair value gap. So you can see it was a fair value gap in both. So we ended up rejecting it, but again, on the 60, you got to realize on the 1 hour, you got to realize we bounced off the 60-minute fair value gap. So what does that mean? That means that the bias is bullish for now. So this was not a plausible short. You probably did not want to short this. Also, if you didn't notice, we did create a smart money divergence and SMT down here. Again, I love SMTs, but it's very, very small. So you can see we never hit the lows right here. Very, very tiny divergence. We never hit the lows, and we did on this. So we had a bullish divergence as well. Your entry would have been, okay, so I get some people are like, oh, this is not a good entry, and I get that, okay? So we don't really have a good market structure shift here, but we did hit sell, so we did bounce off a 60-minute fair value gap, and we also didn't really retrace that much into the fair value gap either, so you probably didn't get filled. But if you missed that entry, what do you notice? You notice we have an order block here, okay? So this is a bearish order block. Now when we break above it, there's your market structure shift, and then there's your bullish breaker block. So I'm just gonna draw this real quick. You can see the sheer, the precision, okay? The precision. Look how precise this is. The bottom of this breaker block is the low of this candle, okay? Exactly to the cent. Again, you probably wouldn't have waited that long. But you probably would have understood somewhere up there. But again, below this, I would say like below this fair value gap would be your stop loss, because we could have easily induced under this low. But again, if you missed that entry, there's your confirmation entry, and then obviously your target would be this high. And what do you notice? We also have low resistance liquidity, in other words, a trend line. And then we ended up bouncing off this fair value gap again if you missed that entry, which is also another mitigation block, okay? So this is also a mitigation block. You can see from this candle right here. Actually, so this actually technically would be a breaker block now that I look at it. So mitigation is you don't hit liquidity, but it looks like we just hit liquidity on this one. So let me just clear all this. We just hit liquidity on this one. So you can see we just hit a liquidity, so this would in fact be a breaker block. So you can see that would be a breaker block. We ended up just bouncing off it again. And look, the low of the candle again was the low of this breaker block, which is very, very interesting. And now I'm sure the target would probably be this low resistance liquidity. Definitely like these equal highs right here. But yeah, pretty self-explanatory day. A lot of people around the feed were saying bad price action, bad price action. This was just clear to me. Like, I don't know if this is clear to you guys, but definitely be looking out for those breaker blocks. I know a lot of people, they're like, oh, you're just looking for fair value gaps, and you might not see the breaker entries, so you might complain. You might be like, oh, there's no entries, but there usually is. Again, I need to work on catching some of these a little more. I didn't catch all these, but it's very, very easy to annotate and see why price did what it did. It is just helpful for me, because the more I review with you guys, the more it's going to help all of us in the future read this in live time. So other than that, that's all I got for today. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and peace.